And then also just the whole time, like, what is the motive of this witch within this movie? I liked that they went with that kind of direction. The only motive we get is just like, oh, she wasn't allowed to look at this witchy stuff, but because she grew up around it, that's what her focus is on. Like, stupid. What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here. You are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And A Quiet Place just came out. And what do? You release another horror film the next week after. This week we are talking about The Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Is saving him worth everything you have? Because that's what it may very well cost.
Lorraine?
The Warrens investigate a murder that may be linked to demonic possession. So this is the brand new movie from the Conjuring franchise, the Conjuring universe. I think it's a universe now, right? Because the Annabelle is included into that genre of movies, I guess.
Not only that, but I just found out, like, not like recently, but within the last year, though, that Curse of La Llorona was in the Conjuring universe as well, too. Like, I knew The Nun was, I knew all the Annabelle movies were, but I was like, what? That movie's involved too. I wouldn't have known. I still haven't seen that movie, but that took me by surprise.
And funny enough, actually, this is the same director of that film. This is Michael Chaves. So He directed The Curse of La Llorona, and this is also directed by him. This is, I think I've watched both of them. I'm pretty sure you've watched both the Conjuring films. I didn't delve into any of the other kind of spin-off movies, but I feel like you did.
I've seen the first two Annabelle movies as well as The Nun, and I'm not a fan of any of them whatsoever. I know that Annabelle Creation was directed by, sorry, his name's like rolling off my tongue, but he did the short film Lights Out, the feature-length version, and then went on to do Shazam. Like, he's
Pony
a
Smasher.
Fine director. What's that?
I only know him by his YouTube name, Pony Smasher.
Pony Smasher, that's the one. Yeah. So I enjoyed his first movie Lights Out, but I couldn't stay in Annabelle Creation despite that movie getting good reviews. The only movies in this entire universe I like are The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. None of those movies aren't perfect, but I do like those movies. This one's just another dud in my opinion. It's not like horrible by any means, but it just feels like kind of just like, why am I watching this? It just feels like an episode of TV or something. It just feels like, oh, this is their most sinister case. You've said that for the previous two. This one doesn't feel that much more sinister. Like, both movies, the intro start with like, this is their most dangerous case. This is their most horrific case. And now this one started with, this is their most sinister case. Like, all right, which one is it? This one ain't it though.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I felt like I saw the same intro card from every single Conjuring movie, and it was always like, this is a true story, but this is also the most dangerous story that the Warrens ever experienced. And we all know by now, it's 2021, guys, Warner Brothers. We all know that the Warrens are crackpots. There's really nothing there. We know that they're scammers. We know it's all BS. You don't have to keep acting like all this stuff is entirely true based on a true story. Okay, based on a true story in the context that, yes, Lorraine Warren was involved in the making of this picture. She was one of the lead consultants, and sadly enough, she did pass away in the production of the film, so rest in peace. But, I mean, her whole life was basically bullshit, so great that she made an entire career out of it, though.
But not only that, though, also, I thought the Amityville house was their most horrific experience. That's their case that, like, everyone knows about and stuff. So I guess this one was the one that got like national attention, though. Granted, I wasn't alive back then, so I don't know too much about the cases. But if you have any viewers who are alive back then, I'm curious to hear if this trial was huge. Did it make it to TV and stuff? Was it like national news, or was it just like local news kind of setting? But it's an interesting concept. I did like that this one kind of was like a more murder mystery. But then as we delve into the actual possession aspects and the curses, it kind of just had I was just like, what is the motive here though? Of course our two leads you root for them, but they had so much development in the first and second one, you actually genuinely like them. This movie, you're just like, you like these characters from the first two, you're gonna root for them. And like, yeah, like luckily we did have that development, but it doesn't like make this movie worth the 2 hours. And then also just the whole time, like, what is the motive of this witch within this movie? I liked that they went with that kind of direction, but like, she just wants power. They never even say that. Just like the only motive we get is just like, oh, she wasn't allowed to look at this witchy stuff, but because she grew up around it, that's what her focus is on. Like, stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to just the fact that these movies are so serialized, like it feels like just watching a television show called The Warrens. I felt like I wouldn't be interested if this was something on Netflix to watch that show. I think the most interesting thing about the original Conjuring is absolutely amazing. I think that it does detract, though, the fact that they made 2 sequels that were just not that great. And they're probably going to make more. They made 3 spinoffs already, I think, at least 3. And it's going to just keep going. It's probably never going to stop, especially that it was just on HBO Max. So they're going to take the numbers of everyone being able to watch this for free, essentially at home, and be like, this thing smashed it at the box office, even if it doesn't make a ton of money at the box office, but we'll still get this. Like, we're just going to get Conjuring movies forever now, I feel like, essentially, because you can watch it from your home on HBO Max. So I don't think I can say that I'm going to watch another one of these. I think the best thing about the original Conjuring movie was the fact that you had this whole family, you had great performances from the parents. It felt fresh. It felt new with all the use of practical effects. It doesn't feel like we have any of that in this film. In the last film, they had aspects of like a new family and everything, but it was just annoying. And this one, it's like, I don't really care about any of the other characters. The Warrens I hardly care about because I just know that, you know, their actual history, the actual based on true story is like they're basically con artists. So I just don't care. And you're basically trying to make them up to be these superheroes. Every movie there, you have them, you know, showing up and just kicking ass, taking demons' names. And in the history of the exorcism movies, like just movies that have to do with exorcism, but I mean, obviously I'm going to talk about, you know, The Exorcist. Like, no one in The Exorcist... That
homage was also a little too on the nose and stuff at the very beginning. I was like, that's obviously an homage. If you can't pick up on that, like, oh, that looks like the shot from The Exorcist. That's so, like, I wonder if they did, like, duh.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, like, even in The Exorcist, Father Karras isn't a fucking badass. Like, he's a troubled man. He's been through some shit. He has some real character development going on. And this, it's just like you have these Warrens, Patrick Wilson really phoning it in this time. Vera Farmiga, same thing. I haven't seen her in a while, but I'm glad she's still making these movies. And it seems like they're just there to get that paycheck. Nothing really notable about the performances. I think they're both great actors. I just didn't see they didn't have to really tell me again because I felt like they were just phoned this one in.
Yeah, like, I don't want to, like, praise James Wan because everyone already does that and stuff. Like, I give him credit for creating 3 horror franchises that are all successful, like Insidious, Saw, and The Conjuring. But one thing that he did proper with the first 2 was the Warrens weren't, like, yeah, they're the main characters, but it focuses so much on the families. Like, with this, like, I didn't care at all. Like, I almost thought that the girlfriend was going to be, like, a backstabber, or she was the one who started the curse, just because, like, what's her deal? She's, like, always there, but she doesn't really have like anything to do within this whole movie. I was like, oh, is that going to be the twist of the movie? Is she the one who's doing the curse? Then out of nowhere, they throw in the real witch and then throw in her backstory with 15-20 minutes left in the movie and stuff. And at that point, I was just like, I don't care. And then, like, when they explain her reasoning, it's just like really like cop out. And then also another thing I wanted to talk about also was the CGI, like you brought up too. Like, the intro scene, like, looked kind of cool, but it's not going to look good 10 years from now and stuff. Like, like the twisting and turning and stuff. Like it's very obviously CGI and stuff. And then the worst sequence, like I remember seeing in the trailer too. I was just like, why didn't they just film like at an actual cliff or like try to build a real set piece and green screen the fall? But that whole time I was just like, they're literally just like on a little like green thing with like just like a little green like little barrier and stuff. Like they didn't even try to add real rocks or real fake trees to blend it in whatsoever. It's just literally them in a green room and stuff, and you can tell it looks so out of place and looked very poor. I know that these movies are made on a budget and stuff, but like pretty sure you guys could have found a cliff somewhere and like try to like fake it out somehow.
It almost feels like we're literally on the precipice of just basically movies will take the backseat to video games, because everything is going to be CGI at a point. So where your CGI video games are just going to be better, but you don't have to sit there bored watching them. You can actually interact with them, where the movies will just be boring. Essentially, I hate to say that that's the case. I wish that wasn't the case. I absolutely love movies, but it just feels like people are giving up when they can film a simple scene at an actual location. Like, no, let's just film it on this little like rock, and then we'll just put a green screen behind it, and then just like we'll figure it out in post. Like it's always become like a meme in post to be like, we'll figure it out in post. That's what they say on set. But now we've gotten to the point where like everything is just let's just figure the movie out in post. So let's recut the movie. We'll put in the scenes that fans actually want to see, because not just regular moviegoers. We just want to give the fans what they want, because we're going to do test screenings only with fans. Like, it just feels like that's where we're going. And like this movie, obviously a third iteration, we're going to get more, because I mean, if you were to count like what actual Conjuring movie this is, it's probably like 7 or 8 at this point. So with all the spinoffs.
I just find that ridiculous that there's been 5 spin-off movies and we're just barely on the 3rd Conjuring movie. Like, kudos for Warner Brothers for finding a formula and stuff, but I think just the series, I'm done with it. Like the fact that I didn't watch the 3rd Annabelle movie kind of really sets the stage, where just like kind of lost interest. I don't know if they're still making a Crooked Man movie or whatever. I don't think there was anything within this movie to build a spin-off of. Like maybe there was, but like, is it worth it? I don't think so. Like you can make an endless amount of movies with these 2 characters and stuff. So that's cool, I guess. But like at this point though, just if you're going to have nothing to say and just like push it out, like it's like, feel bad. Like the fact that James Wan's like all his movies though, it just turns into just like, let's dump this out and stuff. And like, I don't want to see that, like, and stuff. Like, just make like a series of 3 and close it out and stuff. I know that, like, I think James Wan said if he came back for a 3rd one, he wanted it to be about a werewolf instead. So I wish we got that instead of this. Like, I'm glad that they went in a different direction. But yeah, overall, though, just like, can't really recommend the movie. If you're really into this, you're gonna enjoy it. But just like, I was actually looking forward to this movie, and you know, just sad to say I just wasn't into it and stuff. And like, you know, if you're an actual horror fan, like, I don't think true like horror enthusiasts are gonna like that. But if you're casual and like, cool, you might like it.
Yeah, I think a lot of casual fans will enjoy this. A lot of people that get into horror movies are gonna like this type of movie. I think fans that absolutely love like the history of horror and stuff probably aren't. I mean, if you get a couple of scares out of this, I think that's awesome. It's kind of hard for me at home to really get scared. Maybe in the theater this could have been different though. So I don't really judge my horror movies on scares. For me, it's more about the script, the storytelling. I don't think that was entirely there in this film. I understand really what they were going for, but overall this just felt like a bottleneck episode for a serialized television show. It just felt like, all right, we're not trying to spend that much money on this episode. What can we do with all that we have here? We have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They set out the time in between their busy schedules to film this movie. Let's just figure something out really quick. And that's kind of how I felt about this Conjuring movie. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it was as good as the first Conjuring. I think the second Conjuring was could have honestly been as bad, if not a little bit worse than this movie. But the first one was amazing. Congrats to James Wan, but please just put this dog down. I'm tired of going to see these movies. I'm not going to anymore. I'm tired of having other people go and see these movies. I think Old Yeller is coming for the Conjuring series.
Sounds about right. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know if anyone's announced it, but yeah, if you haven't checked it out, you can check it out in theaters. It's also on HBO Max. Be sure to come back here and let us know what you thought about the movie by leaving a comment.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, well, you're in luck. We're on multiple social media platforms. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Be sure to catch us on our links down below. Anyways, guys, that's going to conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.